My name is Janet. Once, my husband lovingly shortened it to Jane, a name I used to adore. Now, it echoes like a curse, a bitter reminder of what I destroyed. I married a simple man, Daniel, because his steadiness felt like an anchor. If personalities were equations, he'd be a straight line, predictable, steady, uncomplicated. Me, I'm a matrix, layered and complex, sometimes even chaotic. I love that about us. We balanced each other, or so I thought. Daniel loved me quietly. He wasn't the grand gesture type, but his love showed in the way he made sure my car was always serviced or remembered that I liked my coffee with 2 teaspoons of sugar. But sometimes, his calmness felt suffocating. The "it's fine" or "it's okay" responses that once comforted me began to sound dismissive, hollow, and maddening. That's when he came into the picture. My new boss, Richard, wasn't just a man, he was a presence. Confident, charismatic, and dripping with a kind of energy that could light up a room. Where Daniel was a quiet flame, Richard was a roaring fire, and I was drawn to his heat like a moth. The first time we went to dinner after working late, I told myself it was harmless. Just colleagues, I thought, as I laughed at his jokes and brushed off the warmth in his gaze. But when I lied to Daniel about taking an Uber, guilt started gnawing at me like a persistent itch I couldn't scratch. Still, I didn't stop. It was during a business trip to Abuja that the dam finally broke. A long day at the UN summit ended with grilled meat, wine, and laughter. Back in my room, when I heard the knock at my door, I knew who it was. I knew what it meant. Richard didn't say much as he stepped inside, but his presence spoke volumes. His t-shirt clung to his sculpted chest, and the scent of his cologne, spicy and masculine, clouded my senses. The air between us thickened, and when he kissed me, I didn't resist. In those stolen minutes, I wasn't thinking about Daniel, about the vows we exchanged, or the home we'd built. All I could think about was the thrill coursing through my veins, the forbidden fire that made me feel alive in a way I hadn't in years. But as quickly as it began, it was over. And the guilt. It consumed me like a wildfire. "I can't believe we did this," Richard muttered, his voice tinged with regret. "I can't believe I did this to my wife." Those words hit me like a slap. His wife. His guilt. My shame. Back home, Daniel's kindness became unbearable. Every thoughtful gesture, every "I love you," felt like a dagger twisting deeper into my chest. The lies weighed heavier by the day. I avoided his gaze, my words clipped and mechanical. Weeks later, the bomb dropped. A single text from Daniel sent my world spiraling. "I know what you did, Jane, it's fine." I froze, my heart hammering against my ribs. What did he mean? What did he know? When I got home, Daniel was waiting. His usual calm demeanor was replaced with something I'd never seen before, quiet rage. "One of the hotel staff saw you," he said flatly. "A family friend. He told me everything." I opened my mouth to deny it, but no words came. My silence spoke louder than any confession. "Do you deny it?" he pressed, his voice trembling. I shook my head, tears streaming down my face. "Good," he said, standing abruptly. "I'll be gone until the divorce is finalized." "Divorce?" I choked out, panic surging. "Daniel, please, we can work through this. I made a mistake, but I love you." "Stop." His voice cracked, his composure crumbling. "Jane, you didn't just make a mistake. You shattered the trust that held us together. And I can't," he swallowed hard, his eyes glistening. "I can't stay." The fallout. The days that followed were a blur of loneliness and regret. I tried calling, texting, begging for another chance, but Daniel remained resolute. Weeks later, during the divorce proceedings, he surprised me with one last conversation. "I wanted us to be a team, Jane," he said, his voice heavy with sorrow. I gave you everything I could, but it wasn't enough for you. And maybe that's on me. But I can't keep holding on to someone who doesn't value me the same way. His words were a knife to my soul. I'd lost him, my rock, my calm, my safe place, and there was no one to blame but myself. As I signed the divorce papers, I realized that the thrill of forbidden passion wasn't worth the price I paid. It cost me my marriage, my peace, and the man who loved me unconditionally. Now, every time someone calls me Jane, I flinch. It's not just a name, it's a scar, a reminder of a choice that changed my life forever.